Leo, welcome to 2025, the month of January. This is a reading for the Leo sun, moon, and rising sign. You can listen for all three. We're going to talk about how some chunky money may come into your life, unearned income coming your way in the month of January in a destined and fated way. Also, good news and lots of communications going on to do with work projects, maybe even good news or interesting developments with the word domestic animals, which is your pets, of course. And so we're going to talk about that. And if you're new to my channel, as we go through this time ahead, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothy, and I'm a Western tropical zodiac astrologer, not sidereal, using fixed stars, minor asteroids as primary tools for timing. If you want to also learn how to time your best life for more than the month of January, and you think you want like more navigational guidance through the entirety of 2022, you can also purchase my 2025 individual sign 2-hour long videos down below, or you can get the whole bundle for a fraction of the cost of, anything. And the reason I'm doing that is my fundraiser and it's on sale, the Ho Ho Santa Claus sale. The coupon code is in the description box. The coupon code applies to you, my followers on YouTube. And so it is for you that the sale code is being shared. So if you want to get the 2025 all signs bundle or individual signs and help me buy microphones, time stampers, new ring lights, a new laptop is what I really need. This one's very old. Then this is helping me raise the money for the things I need in order to keep this channel going and get it going in a way that's even better and better. Thanks very much. Let's go ahead and talk about Leo, what's going on this year ahead. This January ahead. All right. First of all, I do have a teaser video about the year of 2025 for your sign as well, but we're talking January. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the general gist of it, but I want to really point you to something really luscious, really wonderful. And that's going to be Venus's ingress into your 8th house of chunky money. What makes it special, especially the second half of the year, is it's going to have a gorgeous and very rare trine to Jupiter and coming off of exaltations. Your money stories are getting better all year long, but you'll find out how, when, and where if you get the deeper dive video. But most importantly, in the month of January, especially the first half of January, you might expect an unexpected bit of money to come at you. Not every Leo will have this. It might be more accurate for the Leo risings or the Leo sun signs. If you're listening for your sun, you're listening for career and purpose. If you're listening for your rising, it's everything that could possibly connect to your life. Is the avatar in the game of life. And if you listen for your moon sign, it can often connect to matters to do with your home and home base, where you live and how you feel about life. So I'm going to break the month down into the following categories: where the planets, are moving, where Mercury and Venus and Mars are going in the sky for you in the month of January. And after we talk about the planetary movements, we're going to move into the chronological order of this January, meaning I'll take you through the week by week breakdown, what you need to pay attention to, what it means for your sign. I do suggest you take notes or listen to this video again or save it or something like that, because we'll be here for at least 25 minutes today. Now, I'm going to show you the sky. People ask me to go back to doing that, which is fine. I don't mind that. The only thing is, you'll see sometimes it's hard for me to advance the chart around the wheel. And there's reasons for that to do with software, not pinning to anything but 0 Aries or Aries on the eastern horizon. Here we have you guys, Leo, on the eastern horizon. And when we listen for your sun, we pretend your sun is here, or your moon, we pretend your moon is in the first house in Leo. But your rising sign is you actually in your birth time where the eastern horizon was. So that's often quite accurate. You'll notice that the beginning of the month, Mars is here. And we're going to break that down a little bit more specifically once we get to the chronological portion. I haven't not ignored it, but let's wait till we get a little bit more into the weeds to talk about it. Let's start off with the idea of what Mercury's up to. After 2 months, November, December, in the sign of Sag, because of retrogradation, Mercury is moving into the sign of Capricorn on January the 8th. And this is going to feel like something is settling in the past to do with your children, your romance, your entrepreneurial business. There's like a lot of changes and ideas and directions we're shifting with those people. And now that's done. And we move you into 6th house matters. Mercury here concerns himself with your domestic animals. with your work and your work routines, including your health as well, the things that you do to keep yourself healthy. Mercury likes to know, learn, but he's a king of lab work as well. So getting, your results, checking your health, doing health measures for yourself. Of course, January is often dry Jan, and of course, Mercury would help you lean in with knowledge, understanding, and learning about how to be healthier. And when it comes to work, you might be very busy communicating, writing, texting, messaging, or thinking about things to do with your work, especially with Uranus at the top of the sky. Mercury and Uranus will come into a formation later in the month that can give you an electrically surprising positive development with work and career matters, but we'll get to that eventually. Venus is the goddess of beauty, love, and harmony, but also friendship and peace. She's moving on January 3rd and will be from January 3rd to February 3rd, moving through the part of the sky that you would call your chunky money house, or I call it that. It really is unearned income and money you share with others. Like if you buy a stock, you're a shareholder. You have to give the government some of your money. Sometimes they give you a rebate and you get a bunch back. You share money with the banks and the mortgage holders, and you share money with the people who are your credit card debt. You borrowed their money. It's not yours. You didn't earn it, right? So your earned income comes out of the second house and sometimes the 11th. So this is the energy of money that can come to you in a chunk. And it's the house of inheritances, or a bonus check from work, or a severance package check, or a sign-on bonus, a chunk of money, royalty income. You share the money with the book publisher, ad income. You got the gist. Now that I've given you the lay of the 8th house land, Venus enters into this part of your sky, and she will try to bona fide bless and bring you some unexpectedly positive, chunky money. Now, you did hear me say the word unexpected, which is fine. And there's a reason I added that word is because she will be flowing to Uranus on fixed star Algol. Nothing wrong with that. That could bring up a nice little touch of, sweet financial gain as we move towards the very tail end of the transit. In the meantime, however, what you might want to pay attention to is that she's in better shape before the 18th of January, because she ends up besieged between the North Node of Fate and Saturn, or she's closed by two malefics, right? She's been in a bit of a hard rock and a hard place. So it is between the beginning of January and probably the 18th that has the most potency for unfettered expansion. And let's break it down even tighter. The 11th of the month, this is where we get the movement of the North Node into Pisces, co-present with Venus. So your sweetest spot may be January 11th through to the 18th, where you could have some really destined, fated expansion of that kind of money that you're not particularly earning. And it can be money that you share with a spouse, and their financial earnings in that sense can also be what is popping for you, something where they're unexpectedly receiving a bit more money than usual as well. It's a lovely transit. It's amplified by the North Node, which we haven't seen before, except 18 years ago. So I want you to understand that it's not the normal Venus transit through your 8th house of chunky money. It's quite different than that. Mars is moving on January the 6th backwards into the sign of Cancer. So that's what we can say. What's he doing in your sign, Leo? Well, first of all, you want to go back to 1977 to 1988, because that's the last time he acted this way. That's the last time he was in Leo, backing into Cancer in a similar manner. So let's see what we can tell you about this. He went into the sign of Leo on November the 4th and leaves on January 6th. This is him coming in, stopping on December 2nd, 6th, turning around, changing his mind. So things that you might have wanted to put into motion, actions you wanted to take, decisions you needed to make about anything in life, career, work, family, friends, career endeavors, career path matters, financial matters. Those are all being paused now. That's because a retrograde Mars is rethinking things. And he will continually rethink in the Leo part of the sky, where you have the sword, you have the weapon, you make the decisions, you take the actions, right? Until April the 18th. And then between April the 18th and about the 17th of June, you are full systems go. You know what you want. You're passionately going to pursue it. You're going to take the actions and decisions. Those are Mars words, to create the thing you want, because you now have a clear handle. And I find it interesting because he does retrograde, of course, and even turn around at 17 Cancer on February 23rd in your 12th house, and that's a house of self-undoing or addictions or self-sabotage, but also revenue generated from far off lands and also travel to those far off lands and some of those areas of life, maybe the place you need to go before you move forward with decisions and actions, and particularly soul searching and eliminating what you don't want and breaking karmic vows and exiting from childhood lessons that don't serve you anymore. All righty, and we're going to talk about the opposition to Pluto when we do the chronology. Don't worry. Jupiter is moving through in a retrograde motion, your house of great gains from your career. So you may have had a slowdown in your career gains, or you might have felt like your career gains weren't all that much worth it. Like you were working too hard, you bit off more than you could chew to make the money you make. And you've been feeling that way a little bit anyway, ever since Jupiter entered into this part of your sky in the third week of May of 2024. But since he started retrograding around October 9th, that's when things seems to have either gone into slower mode, drag mode, or maybe even when it comes to your career gains, some sense of, is, the juice worth the squeeze? That kind of thing. That question might be here for you. And so Jupiter retrograde is to deepen the bounty by asking you to ask what is true for you. Making money, gaining money in your career, succeeding in your career, but at what cost would be the question. Jupiter here also could have you have a pullback and go inward around your social groups and friendship circles. Now, Jupiter will go direct on February 4th, but it is important to note that he's going to do some major action this month. Well, he gets all tangled up in a couple of really interesting developments. So we'll put him on hold, but this is a very lucky transit. And it is affiliated quite often with windfalls, pennies from heaven, and great gains in your career. When I look at Saturn, Saturn's still hanging out in your 8th house. This is the chunky money house. He's been trying to stabilize you, but you may also have been very diffusely dissolved here. I mean, everything in Pisces gets dissolved, let alone a dissolving Neptune there. And so there may have been a sense that, since March of 2023, and this ends fully in February of 2026, you may have had a sense that your long-range finances, like the money you share with a partner, your retirement fund, your money connected to your stock investments, just feels kind of foggy, or dissolving, and you're trying to put form structure around it, trying to contain it. You're trying to give it a backbone here with Saturn. So Saturn's still here, right? He's still hanging here through the month of January. If you get my bundle for your sign, you'll find out he leaves this part of your sky, hallelujah, in the summertime for 4 months. And then you'll have some relief from Saturn's Debbie Downer in this shared resources and unearned income house. Like your retirement monies is this house, right? You don't earn it, you've saved it, now you could spend it, or it's being invested or something. Pension plans are here. So there's some kind of intense something that wants to change here, something that wants to find a new form and structure. Now we're going to break it into now the nodes, by the way, the North Node, the fates, the nodes of fate are moving. Yay! I've got a video on the nodes of fate. I'll put it pinned to the top of the description box. So this is probably the biggest deal in January. And when we call the videos like destined fated energetic shifts or something, because you haven't had the North Node moving through Pisces since 2006, 7, 8. This is a new feeling for you. And this is something energetically that wants to change. You've had a lot of energy, the North Node moving through your ninth house and your 3rd house in the Libra Aries axis since mid-July 2023 and closing out January 11th. So it's a big deal, energy change. And on January 11th onward, that's when you feel something wants to happen in the next 18 months to expand, to volume up, to grow your chunky money house, and also could expand and grow your interest in the occult arts and the deep mysteries as well. Now we're going to go into the chronological breakdown of the month ahead. And as we do this, to get a pen or paper if you want, because I do not have the funds at this point to hire some full-time video editor to edit all of these, but in the future I may, or timestamp all of these in the future I may. But here's the chronology of the month. In the beginning of January, it's quite evident that Mars is opposite Pluto, and it's exact on January 3rd. The same aspect will occur on April 27th. because then Mars will be direct. It is a conflict with another person. It can look like a blowout with a business partner or your long-term committed love relationship partner. Or it could look like a huge conflict with a client, an audience member, a troll, or some person of great wealth and influence that you have to go to battle against. I kind of sometimes bring up Donald Trump when I'm talking about Leos because he's a Leo rising. And so for Donald Trump, could he, around January 3rd, with a sword or, Martian energy, with a warrior energy, win, lose, have to go to battle against some detractor, some power control struggle of some sort? We shall see. And it's short-lived. You can say maybe you could feel it for sure. December 31st, January 1st to January 4th, 5th is playing out during that window of time. Caution that you don't lose your shit, basically, because Mars can lose his shit at somebody important to you and blow off, a cathartic rage at someone and end up losing that relationship. However, if the relationship is meant to die on the vine, then you cannot blame Pluto, blame Venus, because Venus is still up here in the beginning of this transit, and Venus herself is the goddess of love. And so just as we approach it on January 2nd, Venus is still complicit with the tension building between Mars and Pluto. So, and then she goes sliding into the house of, divorce settlements and shared assets. So there can be some significant tension here. Be very cautious, Leos, unless there is a relationship that needs to end. Now, as we move forward into January 4th to the 6th, we'll see that the Capricorn sun flows to Saturn. Certainly, you don't mind the Capricorn sun flowing to Saturn, stabilizing money from your earnings, stabilizing savings, bank loans, mortgages, debt refinancing. That could be very powerfully done here. Refinancing a mortgage, getting a loan at a low rate, things along the lines of debts, debt restructuring, mortgages, bank money, credit card money, unearned income that somehow is being stabilized, but connected to often your work as well as debt you hold. That feels like a story that for some of you will make a lot of sense. Otherwise, it's also very stabilizing for your relationships to your animals, and they've been going through a precarious time. But Saturn also represents the elder, the old one. Sun is under the horizon line. It's in the nighttime of the sky. And so just for some of you, this could augur in the timely passing of an elderly and aged animal. Now, I'm not saying you're a brand new puppy, because Saturn represents the elder animal. So an old animal might be getting ready to leave January 4th to the 6th. And let's bless their soul for the transition to the other side. Just like humans, they have souls. On January 10th to the 14th, there is a trine between Mars and Neptune, and that is beautiful spiritual warrior energy. It's also actions and motive that are sourced from a deeper vision and a higher part of our self. The celestial choir of angels agrees with our decisions here. Mars is retrograde when he does this. Let me show it to you. And we're talking about 10th to the 14th. You can feel it even as soon as the 9th. So there we have building it up. There's Neptune direct in your 8th house of chunky money. Had him there dissolving your, money stories to do with those long range finances, or making you very mystical and spiritual since 2011. But here we have, see, I lost it again. Let's go back by an hour. Here we have Mars and the flow to Neptune. And we'll see it coming in around the 12th, being exact. Retrograde Mars could suggest that whatever this is about comes from the past. Which past, when, how, where? Stuff that was going on in the second half of the last week or so of October, and maybe the first 4 days of November. What was happening then in your life to do with financial matters or addictions or self-undoing? And that's what Mars is thinking about in your 12th house. But, if it's financial matters, there's different kinds of monies that come out of the 12th as well, especially digital income, foreign land, borderless income, and revenue. When you make money online, for example, or you work for a foreign company or an international company. So go back to the last week of October. and the first 4 days of November, because Mars is treading back over the same ground he was there, and he's talking to Neptune, and he wants to make decisions and take actions, and it will be having a financial component to it. And around the same time, the sun will also flow, the sun in Capricorn, to the star Algol on Uranus on Algol. See, there's Algol. The well star is up there. Just trust me. But it's also calamitous and shocking and decapitating energy. I think with the trine, we don't have to say is shocking or decapitating, but there's something going on in work. Okay. This is your career and reputation and visible workspace in the 10th house, where people see you do something in the world. And then, sun is flowing from the house of the work environment, colleagues, coworkers, job. So job work surprises, but are positive. It could be very good for your finances, for example. Thank God we've got Mercury direct flowing to your second house of earnings and co-present. There's a big Artha flow here for good, surprising developments to do with work and money matters. And job work and money matters. And that really shows up quite nicely for you around the 10th to the 14th. It may be a little bit more exact, closer to the 14th. Let's check it out. Uh-oh. Yes, but I'm not moving by the right time marker. So give me a minute. All right, there we go. So it's really exact around the 13th. Okay, but you'll feel it a couple days before and a couple of days after. There's a full moon in the sign of Cancer. It's going to be over here. This is that old addiction, self-undoing, you're your own worst enemy sometimes when anything happens over here. It's a house of isolation and aloneness. A full moon might bring you into a phase of wanting to be more alone and shine a light into your solitude, but it also could be about completion of a time of solitude as well. The full moon was planted as a seed back in the summertime, like June, July, let's say around there. New moon happened, and now you're kind of fulfilling some promise. Money made from far off lands and shores, distant, companies, foreign land companies, barter and trade to foreign lands. And that's another money story. And so you may be completing a path of earnings or a path of money, engaging those things. Full moons are fulfilling something, but they also represent completions. And in the 6 months that follows this Cancer moon, you may bring to a closure, one of those earning strategies, especially in the trine to the 8th house. It's a spiritual moon. It could bring you into a fullness of spiritual revelation from a seed planted in the summer as well, especially given that, Mars is flowing to Neptune, which is a heightened spiritual, mystical, transcendent, alchemical, magical quality to it. I always think of Mars and Neptune as the alchemist. January 14th to the 16th, Venus will square Jupiter. Even though it is a difficult aspect called a square, it is two benefics in a conversation, so it's probably good. And so around that 14th to the 16th, when we see Venus exalted in the sign of Pisces and not yet wedged between Saturn and the North Node, so in really good shape, she's going to lean over and talk here to Jupiter. And basically, she might say, what goodie bag or what positive thing to do with career prosperity and gain do we want to deliver the Leo native? Now, your Jupiter is fairy godfather in the house of allies, benefactors, friends with favors and high places, and the sibling one older than you. And so this could end up being in any of those types of people, delivering some positive financial benefit to you. But your career gains connected to chunky money are also benefiting from this. And to have Venus deliver this benefit is something that can only happen every 30 years. You have to go out to 93, 94, 95 for Venus Saturn energies in this part of the sky. But then you have to also go back to the North Node, and you get a complicated bunch of circumstances that makes it rather rare. The North Node going through here, as I said, 2006, 7, and 8. Epicenter 2007. So it's not an everyday feeling here. And so if I was to try to find that cycle, I'll just say use it or lose it. A nice little surprise, maybe not a surprise, a nice little up level in financial matters, most likely is what this will look like. Now, Sun will oppose Mars around the 14th to the 16th as well, more closely towards the end of that. The Sun and Mars are, it's like power struggles against an authority figure. And it's connected to the work environment, like your job environment, or a power struggle regarding matters to do with a pet. However, Mars is in the house of hospitals. Yeah. And so there can be a pet that has to go to the vet hospital or something like that. Just another option. However, if it's a work environment, conflict with a colleague, coworker, but the Sun more likely a boss, Mercury is here to help negotiate an outcome. So don't let it all fall into a disarray. It could also be a hidden enemy. That's where Mars is, who doesn't have your back in a work setting that could be under your skin, you know what I mean, causing some challenges there. There's a loosey-goosey mystic rectangle trying to smooth it all out. But secrets revealed, hidden enemies, karmic debt relationships, all about money, kerfuffle. Short-lived though, so don't worry about it. Just think about watching out around January 15th, 16th, and 17th for this kind of intense conflict. It will come back later on as well, closer to January 21st and 22nd. So you might want to remember that what happens January 14th to 16th might have a second act on January 21st, 22nd. I'll explain that shortly. January 18th to the 20th, Venus will co-join with Saturn. Love is hard, love is enduring, money is hard, money is perseverant. I mean, you got the stodgy Saturn and the exalted Venus. She just wants to like lavish herself with exalted financial chunky money. And Saturn is like, whoa, slow down. So this conjunction is not necessarily evil. I mean, but you get 3 Venus-Saturn conjunctions every 30 years. You had one last year. Around this time of year, you'll have one next year, this time of year. And here we have this one here. Now, Saturn, the taskmaster. Venus, pleasure, what you desire. Saturn, restraint and realism. So there's a bit of an oil and water in any time these two get together, let alone Venus exalted, where she wants to go over the top in money matters. So be careful here, but it is a 1-year reset button that defines a story that lasts an entire year, not just the day of the conjunction. So this is at 16 degrees of Pisces. And so that part of your sky is getting this activation. There is some support here for it not to be as bad as all that, and particularly from Mercury. And Mercury flowing to the Venus-Saturn conjunction could indicate a sort of outlet for the tension. He wants to help, and it's in the workhouse. Bottom line, it could look like around the 16th, or I'm on the 19th, January 19th, you have to make you have to do some kind of contract, negotiation, conversation, deal. Look for text messages, phone calls, and emails connected to work and work situations. And you have to come to some kind of decision-making power, because Mars is trining the god of decisions as well from the 12th house. If it's about a pet, I'm sorry to say, it could be a very hard decision to let a pet go who's aging, elderly, and unwell. But if it's not about that, it could definitely have something to do with your finances connected to work and your long-range strategies, as well as decisions to potentially end some kind of addiction, self-undoing, or bad habit, but connected to karmic patterns and ancestral patterns as well. I mean, Venus is the god of money, and this is the inheritance house. Trine from Mars, who rules the house of your family of origin. Some of you may come into an inheritance in or around this time for an elder. Saturn is an elder, a grandparent. Sometimes it could be an elder parent, but that is a possibility for some of you. Now, January 21st to the 22nd, Mars will sextile Uranus at the same time. Okay, Mars is sextile Uranus, the Sun and Pluto are conjunct, and Mercury is opposite Mars. Now remember, Mercury is opposite Mars. Let's just draw the chart up. So January 21st, let's move forward. Let's see if I can hold the sky in one place. There we go. So on January 21st, take a look at Mars. He's going to be doing some stuff for you, right? Mars is moving through here, retrograde. I don't want to define the 12th house again. I've done it 7 times. You could travel to foreign shores and lands that you've been to before. That are familiar to you during this Mars retrograde to February 23rd. Okay. So January the 6th to February 23rd, travel to places you've been before. But Mars, whether he's traveling or just helping you quit your addictions, is retrograding in your 12th house. And as he does that, Mars forms this energetic connection that's positive to Algol, that well star. So the 20th and 21st, the flow to Algol, a well star in your 10th house of career, but also erratic, shocking, and sudden change, Uranus, in the career direction, but it may connect to foreigners, foreign people, foreign lands, or money you create from far off foreign places and foreign shores, distant shores. So it's a surprise, but it's a positive one. It's a sextile. Don't be afraid of it. At the same time that this is happening, you'll notice there's still some flow from Mercury. So there's a gentle wedge being formed here. And Mercury, however, is opposite Mars, just like the sun was opposite Mars. So go back to January 14th to the 16th. Was there a big conversation, email, phone call, discussion, battle regarding work matters and conversations, deals, and negotiations? And job, because that is kind of coming back like it was the sun. So some tension with a boss or a power player in the work setting. And now it's Mercury with like the conversations that must be had, the deals that must be made, the negotiations that must be finished. But it does flow to Algol, and it could be surprisingly positive career developments for you, work developments for you as well. Pluto will be conjunct the sun on January 21st. So you want to go a day before and a day after. Those first 20, 21, 22 time frame can indicate a major challenge in a committed love story, or your partner's going through a major part of their life story that's just a bit of a challenging 3 days. Pluto is, transformation, catharsis, death, and rebirth. The sun can represent also, especially in the early part of the 7th house, which is likely below the majority of your Leo, sun, moon, and risings descendant. It's the setting under the sunset. This would indicate a sort of a vibration of something that has to go to rest in peace. And it's time to take it out completely, like Pluto to the underworld goes what? The sun. So then you have to say, well, what is the sun? It rules you. You are the sun's main priority. So what part of your life are you ready to let rest in peace, to let go below the horizon, to set into the good night, go gently into that good night? Something you want, something you thought was important to you is going to maybe become to a setting. Now, this is something you'll encounter every year for the next 20 years. So it's not catastrophic, okay? It's just a thing. It's just a thing. Now, as we move into January 25th to the 27th, Venus trines Mars. The cosmic lovers are in a beautiful waltz together. Mars is the retrograde guy over here, and Venus will be flowing to him from her exaltation sign. The only downside I think that we will see here is that she happens to be wedged between Saturn and the North Node, which are malefic energy. So maybe it's good, but not great. It looks like a glow up in your financial matters connected to retirement funds, investments, inheritances, money shared with a spouse, business partner monies, tax rebates, etc. It looks like a nice sweet spot where things are going well. If it's about love and romance, it's a secret love affair in a far off foreign shore. Either which way, there's a bit of a downside because Venus being besieged between malefics can mean there's some also difficulty in receiving the blessings that are coming through here. And you may need to wait till February 1st for things to clear a bit. Whereas even though it's all good here around January 25th, 6th, 7th, you don't have the ability to maybe open your palm and receive it properly. Could be issues with the government, taxes, or, the mortgage company or the bank loan. And there's a lot of things stuck in the middle here, but then it could clear by February 1st. You want to buy or sell a home or get a mortgage. Mars rules your fourth house of land. Again, it's a good time, yet there may be some kind of a sense of sticky stuck, and it will clear later after February 1st. What else do I need to tell you about this sky at the same time? Yes. Okay. And we just love the vibe here, right? It's ongoing, this vibe here. So this is such a sweet part of the sky. No problems going on here. Moving forward. Oh, in the mini grand trine, I see Mars is flowing to Venus. That's that whole banking loans or secret love affairs and far off lands. And then we have the mini grand trine to Algol at the top of the sky. So it's a grace triangle. It points to positive, exciting, exhilarating, freedom loving, viral hits. I don't know, shock and awe in your 10th house of career. So that in that respect, it could be a career opportunity from a distant land, foreign shore, or foreign person. All right. And then we're going to go into January 28th to the 31st, where the sun will trine Jupiter. Hallelujah. Sun will be moving all the way over to 11 or so degrees. Jupiter is still retrograde till February 4th, but Sun trine Jupiter is never a bad thing. It's about vitality, hope, faith, optimism. If it's about your case, your partner in love, your partner in long-term committed love is getting a glow up. They may be receiving some kind of new gain in their career, some kind of dream coming true for the one you're with. That's a nice vibe. And so we feel this kind of sweetness going on, a kind of new client that's your best client ever, that increases your financial gain in your career, that kind of thing. But then on January the 29th, we have the new moon here as well, as you can see. And so first of all, we see Jupiter flowing to the sun, and then the sun Jupiter flowing to a new moon, right? Then the new moon forms the day after. This is a beautiful new beginning, a fresh start that has Mercury's support. Mercury, the information, the news, the phone calls, the text messages, but the ideas, the negotiations, and the legal contracts in your seventh house. Pluto, wealth, some kind of contractual agreement that can bring greater wealth and career gains to you, greater bounty to you, some kind of contractual agreement your partner in love or business is also undergoing that brings bounty and greater significant income from their career as well. So let's see what happens. This new moon is not just about the day, which is the 29th. It can unfold over the course of 6 months, new seeds, new beginnings. And you got a beautiful Pluto Mercury combination, which is really good for some kind of also prosperous new ideas that can bring you greater riches because Jupiter is flowing and saying yes. Very last thing is at the end of the month, on the 31st of the month, we're going to see the energy going on of Venus bumping right into Neptune. Take a look. Let's see if I can get it to show. Oh, I'm going by hour. Darn it. And you're like, where's my Leo? Well, you're just going to have to trust me on this one. Okay. Venus and Neptune are going to come together on January 31st at 27 degrees of Pisces. And from a Leo perspective, it's your chunky money house. Okay. So this is a lovely expansion. Venus is no longer, well, she is still between the malefics. We'll see how much that really matters. It's an ancient astrology concept. North Node, volume up, dreamy love, soulmate love, dreamy money outcomes, dreamy occult mysteries, dreamy secret hidden romantic love in a far off foreign land or shore, or secretly in your bed pleasure home, having a romance with some secret person. Those are the kinds of things that happen under that sky. Thank you for listening, Leo. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want to know more about me, check my description box below. My Substack column, the Pluto Chronicles, is just literally covering everything Pluto does in the next 20 years, including UFOs, aliens, AIs, remote conspiracy theories, and more. AI for sure. And also check out my Patreon community. Come meet with me 3 times a month. I teach classes there. You get to like have small community with me. Check out my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. If you want a reading with me, fine, but I don't have enough space for everyone at all. And so if you're on my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, it comes out every Sunday, forecast by me, written by me. Or if you're in my Patreon community, you'll hear when spots are open and you'll get a chance to get in for a reading. New spots will open in February, or I'll be announcing new spots sometime in January for February. Thanks, guys. See you in the next iteration. Don't forget to check out your all signs bundle or your Leo sign. Bye-bye.